My ex-wife announced her engagement and pregnancy at my mother's funeral reception, and I made sure it was the last time she ever said that baby's name out loud. 4 years ago, my newborn daughter Riley died in her sleep, and I have been the family monster ever since. I was 26 years old. Cassidy was 25. Every holiday since then, I have walked into rooms where people stopped talking the moment they saw me. I have sat through dinners where my own siblings made toasts to everyone except me, and listened to my parents tell stories about Riley that somehow always made me the villain. My mother's funeral reception had been exactly what I expected. Cassidy's parents hugged her for what felt like forever, and gave me a cold handshake. My own father asked Cassidy about her new job and her promotion. Then he looked at me and said, "At least you get to see Owen every other weekend," before walking away. When we gathered in my parents' living room, Cassidy was seated next to my mother's best friend on the nice sofa while I stood near the back wall. Then Cassidy stood up with her new boyfriend Troy beside her and cleared her throat. "I know this might not be the best timing," she said, "but Karen always told me that life goes on, and we have to find joy, even in grief." She looked around the room with tears in her eyes. "Troy and I are engaged, and we're expecting a baby girl." My sister smiled and went to hug her. "And we've decided to name her Riley." Every person in that room turned to look at me. "I know that name carries so much pain for this family," Cassidy continued. "We lost Riley 4 years ago to something that never should have happened. To negligence that stole an innocent life." She looked directly at me. "I've had to live with that loss every single day while protecting Owen from the truth about his father." Troy put his arm around her shoulders. "But I'm not going to let that tragedy keep me from honoring her memory. I'm going to raise this Riley the right way, with love and attention and actual supervision." My father actually nodded. She wiped her eyes while several people murmured their support. That's when something inside me that had been locked away for 4 years finally exploded. "You're naming your baby after the daughter you killed?" The room went dead silent. Cassidy's face transformed instantly. "Are you kidding me right now? At your own mother's funeral?" My sister grabbed my arm. "Not here, not today," but I pulled away. "Where were you the afternoon Riley died, Cassidy?" Troy looked confused. "She was at work. Everyone knows that." I pulled out my phone. "I have the GPS data from her phone that the police never requested. This shows you left work at 1:47 p.m. Riley died sometime between 2 and 4 p.m. You told police you were in a meeting until 5. Cassidy's face went pale. "I also have the credit card statement showing you bought wine at the liquor store 3 blocks from our apartment at 2:15 p.m. "This is fake," Cassidy said, but her voice was shaking. "He's doctored these." I looked at my sister. "I was at a job site 45 minutes away. I have time clock records, security footage, and 12 witnesses." Cassidy told police she'd been at work all day, that I must have left Riley unattended during my lunch break. I pulled up another document. "This is the toxicology report. Riley had Benadryl in her system. Infant Benadryl that we didn't keep in the house because our pediatrician said never to use it." Cassidy started backing toward the door. "I have the receipt from that same liquor store visit. You bought wine and infant cold medicine at 2:15 in the afternoon when you were supposed to be at work." My sister's hand went to her mouth. "The medical examiner said Riley died from positional asphyxiation combined with respiratory depression. She was face down with a blanket over her head. The Benadryl made her too sedated to move when she couldn't breathe." "Stop it," Cassidy whispered. "You came home during work because you were stressed. You gave Riley Benadryl to make her sleep so you could drink wine. You put her down wrong because you were drunk. When you found her dead, you called me at work, acting hysterical." My father was staring at Cassidy like he'd never seen her before. "You told me at the hospital that I must have put her down wrong that morning. You said the police would understand it was an accident if I just admitted I'd been rushing and careless." Troy had moved away from Cassidy completely. "I was 26 years old and my daughter was dead, and you looked me in the eyes and begged me to say I'd been home at lunch. You said if the truth came out about you leaving work and drinking and giving her medicine, we'd both lose Owen." Cassidy was crying now, but she wasn't denying it. "You made me sign a custody agreement that labeled me negligent. I became the father who killed his own baby, while you became the grieving mother everyone pitied." I picked up my coat and looked at her one last time. "You know what? Naming your baby Riley is actually perfect."